This is the status report.
What's the first investment you ever made?
In what?
Just in general, like, do you remember what your first investment was? It real estate, or like, what was the first thing you ever invested in? Because we're talking about stability and money, and so that kind of got me thinking about
drugs. I'm just playing.
Well, no, but honestly, that's actually not.
Jesus Christ, for real.
I mean, one of the smartest people that I know is a childhood, really like close friend of mine, still a friend of mine. And he's been a drug dealer his whole life. And if he had more like formal education or polish, he could literally be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
It's crazy. You see how Phil's talking about me, but he doesn't want me to get in trouble. That's my guy.
Knuckles.
Oh my God! Please tell me y'all saw his face when he said Knuckles. I really hope we got that on camera. Knuckles.
That was on purpose, Stina.
I know.
No, but you know that's why I don't like the Clintons. Honestly, let's bring it all the way. The reason I don't fuck with them is because the drug laws are so crazy, and a lot of the people that ran these enterprises and these drug enterprises back, and they went to jail for the shit. These motherfuckers are just as savvy in business as some of the people that's heading these Fortune 500
That's a fucking
companies.
fact.
Yeah, they are.
It's no difference. You know, it's a bunch of dudes and girls too that's in jail that could be out here like really like making an impact. And I think my first investment was candy, because when I was in school, I used to sell candy in school. It's the first thing I used to save all my money from lunch, and then I used to mow lawns. And then my mom would take me to this place called Pace. It's like the equivalent of Sam's Club. And I would buy a bunch of candy, and I would start selling it at school. Then I started getting pencils and pens. I would sell pencils and pens, and I would sell folders, all kind of shit out of my locker. You know what I'm saying? And then out of my desk. I did that, and that's when I realized I was an
entrepreneur.
I realized I was a hustler.
I think people make a mistake and they assume that there's like there's a barrier to entry. Like, you can't invest if you have a little bit of money, right? And
How much money do you think you need? Like, what?
Well, I'll give you a concrete example, right? One of my friends invested in a biotech company before they IPO'd it, and he invested $70,000. And
that's a little bit of money.
2.5 years. No. Hear me out. 2.5 years later, you got a check for $8 million. If you would have done $5,000, do the math, right?
Sorry. So
that's the thing.
Where do you find?
Well, I mean,
somebody who doesn't know anything about this, where do you say they
public markets, so you can follow your interests. And so, like, what I want to do with my kids now that they're kind of old enough, I want to set up E-Trade accounts for them, and I want them to start. It's almost like playing Monopoly, but with the public markets.
Okay.
I just think it's a good idea to kind of teach kids financial literacy early.
I agree.
And to get them in the habit of saving, because we live in such a consumer culture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get kids to save.
Impossible.
It's so hard to get adults to save.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So you invest a lot, obviously, right? Because I hear you talking about it a lot. What for someone who's never invested, what advice would you give them?
To start. That's the key.
Oh, just to start.
Just to start. Give it a try. And you don't have to start big. I mean, just, get a trading account and just get started. It's not difficult. There is no barrier to entry. I think you need like $250 to start an E-Trade account. Okay. And just learn about how the stock market works. And you kind of get a feel for the pulse of the market, right? Like, you see how current events and news and all that kind of stuff impacts everything.
Right.
Like how stocks are priced. Do you remember being broke?
When I first got some real money, I had no idea about taxes. No one taught me, or my mother didn't tell me about that. So I thought every dollar I got was that. I thought that was my dollar, right? So what I soon found out, 2 or 3 years, and it's crazy. 2 or 3 years down the road, you start getting these letters. You know what I'm saying? Letters. And then essentially liens, you know what I'm saying? And so what I learned from that experience and losing all my money, because I transitioned from being an artist to working behind the scenes, I learned so much about taxes. And I learned that when you get money, the majority of the money you get, first of all, is not yours, and the money that is yours is so important to put the majority back. You know what I'm saying? And when Phil talk about investments, I learned that you invest in things that you believe in or things that you use every day. So like me, I eat plant-based food. So I'm gonna invest in Beyond Meat. I invest in Impossible Foods.
Do you think it's wrong to invest in what you think the winner is?
I know.
Do you think you should invest in what you think even if you're not interested, that you know this is gonna win, or you feel like this is where I need to put my money.
It's just products you believe in. Because I remember I was around when Dre started Beats. Him and Jimmy started Beats, and it was a dude named Che that brought an idea to him to start a sneaker company. He wanted him to do gym clothes and all that type of shit. And Dre didn't really want to do it because even though he went to the gym, it wasn't really his lane. You know what I'm saying? So he decided. Jimmy brought the idea of like, don't do sneakers, do speakers. And so they did the headphones, and that is essentially it made them a shit ton of money. Puff, he's known for partying. What do you do when you go to the club? Ciroc, you drink. That's his shit. Everybody that wins, they win at things that are
their babies.
It's them. It describes their personality. When you think of Dr. Dre, you think about music. Think about the sound. You know what I'm saying? It's a speaker. You think about Michael Jordan. You think about. And you know what I'm saying? It's like,
so if people don't have their thing or they don't know what their thing is.
If you fat, invest in some fucking McDonald's.
So the answer is right in front of your face. Yeah,
it's right there. It's all. If you like Popeyes, if your ass is eating Popeyes every day, it's gonna kill you anyway. You might as well make some money. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying whatever you, if you like build houses, invest in Home Depot. Invest in the things that you fuck with on the daily because you support those things. So
you understand them.
Exactly.
But that's why for me, like, I actually try to follow like market trends and politics and foreign policy and all that stuff so that I can kind of broaden like my understanding of how that influences the stock market, right?
I think you should invest in baby hair gel. Cause you understands that. Cause your shit be laid down. That shit is
okay. All right.
I'm just saying, not clowning you, but I'm saying.
No, I get it.
It's whatever you use. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm gonna look into that.
That's it.
You can find all our episodes at thestatusreport.com. And remember to leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.